Have you been struggling to convert your email subscribers into buyers? Are you ready to discover the secrets to conversion? Let me show you how in the Conversion Email Sequence Masterclass. This class gives you detailed instructions for crafting the 3 critical conversion sequences you need in your business, and you even get sample scripts so you can easily get your emails written. And best yet, you're going to get a printed workbook mailed to you that you can have at the ready so you'll never feel stuck when you need to write an email sequence again. We're going to talk about your opt-in sequence, how many emails should be in that sequence, and what to say in each one. I'm going to share 2 different versions of a promotion sequence, so you'll be totally ready for your next launch. And I'm going to give you a 3-part sequence that you can implement anytime you're putting on any type of live event so that you can convert those buyers into your next offer. So this whole masterclass is focused on increasing the lifetime value of your clients through conversions. And when you sign up right now, I'm going to give you a code that you can save $300 off of the registration. Now, this is for a limited time, so get ready to write down this code, this link, and go register right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/AprilSave300 for the Conversion Email Sequence Masterclass. It's only taught once a year. You don't want to miss it. See you there.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Rausch, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome to the Sales Maven Show. I'm Nikki Rausch. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We are going to have a solo episode, so it's just you and me talking about something that I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs aspire to have, and that is their very own sales team. Might be a salesperson, or it might be multiple salespeople, but I find that this is something people often say to me, I can't wait until I can just afford to have somebody else do the selling for me because I just want to get it off my plate completely. And I get it. And yet, there are some really crucial things that need to happen in the selling process. And so I just want to talk about this. I'm going to share a story, something that actually happened to me, quite recently, a couple hours ago. And it just got me thinking, we need to talk about this more. I just feel compelled to share this message with you today. And even if you're not thinking about hiring a sales team, I think there's going to be plenty of meat in this episode, like lots of stuff to dig in and walk away and feel really good about, of things that you might be doing in your own process, in your own sales conversation process, and what to do instead. So let's dig into it and see where we get. Okay. So I love when somebody gives people the opportunity to kind of dip their toe in the water, and I do this in my own business. I recommend my clients do this a lot of times. If people are hesitant to take that first step with you, sometimes you just got to make it super easy for them to get what's the first step? So that could be some type of introductory offer. That could be some kind of special price for their first X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. So that's actually what hooked me. So on social media, I saw this ad for something that I was like, ooh, somebody had just told me about this. And they had a special promotion going on. And I was like, I don't know. At first, actually, I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And then I don't know if you've heard me talk about convincer strategies before. Like, we all have what's known as a convincer strategy. And if you haven't heard me talk about it, a convincer strategy is a certain number of times we'll say no to something before we'll say yes. So this is why it's so important that you keep yourself front of mind with your clients, is because you never know when you're going to hit somebody's convincer strategy. Sometimes a convincer strategy is a certain number of times. Sometimes it's over a period of time. There's lots of things that will influence somebody's convincer strategy. The thing about convincer strategy is there's no one convincer strategy across the board. So everybody is different. You have your own convincer strategies. They're context specific. So in some of your areas of your life, you might be like, oh my gosh, I'm so in. I heard about this thing. I saw something. I'm totally going to dive in. That's your convincer strategies 1 or 2 times. Whereas some of us have convincer strategies that take a little bit longer. So we have to see things a couple times. Maybe we have to hear somebody talk about it before we really start to investigate. So saw this ad on social media, and somebody had just spoken to me about this one thing. So I saw it, I looked at it a little bit, and then I was like, I don't know. I have so many other things on my plate. Maybe I'm not going to do this. Then it came up in my newsfeed again, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do it. It's such a good deal. So I put a little message on the post and didn't hear anything back for a couple days. So I was like, forgot about it. And then a couple days later, they actually did say, hey, Nikki, we'll offer you this deal. So I did it. So today I got to have my first session. So this was me dipping my toe in the water, having an introductory session to something that realistically is kind of a long-term process. It's something that requires, or it's encouraged to have multiple sessions. So this was me having a one-time session just to experience what is this like. And that may be something that is important in your business. Are you just offering a one and done type solution, or is it something that is going to require people to have multiple sessions with you, or they're going to get the biggest bang for their buck if they do spend a longer period of time with you and make a bigger commitment? And chances are, for I think many of my clients, that is the case with what they offer. So I'm super excited. I make my appointment, I show up, and they have a very nice person working the office when I get there. She's super welcoming to me. She says, when I walk in, she says, you must be Nikki. So I love that, already super engaged. Now, I don't know who she is. She doesn't really say what her role is. She does give her name. So she doesn't say I'm the sales coordinator or I'm the whatever. She just says her name. And then she takes me back into this room and does right off the bat, one of the things, she misses a big step with me. She doesn't really pre-frame what's going to happen. And I don't know what to do because this is my first time. So she gives me a little bit of direction, but I'm still a little confused. The stuff that she's saying to me, it's almost like she's speaking a little jargon. And sometimes when people aren't really comfortable in the selling process, they do speak in jargon. And if you speak in jargon, you might want to knock it off, because if somebody doesn't understand your jargon, that can be a real problem. And again, if you have a team of people working for you, they might feel really cool if they can speak your jargon, but it doesn't resonate with somebody who doesn't know what that means. So got to make sure they know what it means. So, right off the bat, she missed kind of the pre-frame of setting me up so I kind of knew what to expect. And I think she did say about how long it would take. That was a little bit of a pre-frame, so I did like that piece. So had my experience. And then when I kind of was in the last part of the experience, it was something where this particular office was set up where they kind of had a captured audience in me because I was doing something. I couldn't really leave the room that they had me in. So they were going to play a video. And she said, the video is the owner. She didn't say the owner's name, so didn't really do much to introduce me. I'm like, why would I know who the owner of the company is? I wouldn't. So didn't really set it up. And she's like, well, we're just going to play these videos while you're in here in the last 10 minutes. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you don't need to stay and watch all of them, but just, it gives you something to do for your last 10 minutes. So this is a big misstep right here, because this is an opportunity, because it turns out that she is the salesperson, kind of. I mean, she wasn't a very good one, but this was an opportunity to set people up to say like, here's what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. And this is why this is relevant to you. But instead, it was kind of like it was a throwaway thing of like, we don't know what to do with you. So now we're going to force you to watch a video that you may or may not be interested in. Like she didn't sell it at all. There was no like oomph to it. So I'm like, well, first of all, I happen to be somebody who hates to watch people on video. I don't find it very engaging. It just doesn't, that's not how to like engage me. And so, but I get it. Like I'm willing to go along with it. Now here's the next missed opportunity. The videos, there were 2 videos shown in this 10-minute period of time. The first one was a little rambly. She just said her name, the owner, but she didn't like establish any of her credibility. So I don't know this person. Like, I don't know what her background is. So she doesn't share at all about like, I'm this and a little bit about my experience. And not that she needed to word vomit it, like she doesn't need 5 minutes of it, but a minute or a sentence or 2 would have been helpful other than her name. So when you find yourself in these situations, don't assume that your clients know anything about your background. It was such a missed opportunity because I would have been interested to know a little bit about her background, like what makes her an expert on what she's about to chat with me about, or, in this particular case, and watch her video. So are you ever taking time to share a little bit about who you are? Or if you have somebody on your sales team, are you giving them any type of skills or language around the company? And like even a sentence or 2 about what makes your company unique and special. That's a missed opportunity if you're not. So I would really encourage you to either have that for yourself and also have it for your salesperson or your sales team. They should be able to really articulate that off the top of their head. That's like, to me, one of the very basics of selling. Now, here's the next missed opportunity. The videos that were shown were videos, it felt like they were videos for somebody who had already made like a much bigger commitment and was really familiar with what this particular company was offering. I'm coming in as a prospective client who has just done that like first step, dipping my toe in the water, that they had my captured attention for 10 minutes. They were going to force me to watch some videos. Why not put some videos on there that really highlight what the next steps are and get your prospective client excited about what's coming and what's possible for them? And instead, the second video was more of this kind of relevant. I mean, it's a relevant topic, but it's not the focus as to why I was there. And it had absolutely zero to do with the service that they were providing. It had to do with overall health, but it had nothing to do with the service that they were actually providing that I was there paying money for. So she's giving me tips and techniques about things that don't make her money. And not that she needs to give away her expertise for free, but they should be somewhat relevant to at least plant seeds so that I want more from them. So I would challenge you to ask yourself, are you doing this? When you have a captured audience, are you planting seeds about what's possible, and is it related to your topic? Because it might be an interesting information that you're wanting to share, and you might think that you're, sharing something that people need to know. And that might be great after they have signed up to work with you for the long term. But when you're in that initial earning additional business phase, it needs to really be targeted to that next step. And so does your salesperson, if you're hiring a sales team or if you're training somebody on sales, do they understand the importance of that next step? Okay, so I get through my 10 minutes of video, and then she tells me to just walk out of the room and leave the video on, which feels super awkward and weird, but okay. So then I walk back to the front of the office and she's there and she was like, okay, here's this piece of paper for you. And she kind of handed it to me, but not really. This is, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but this has to do with what's known as psychogeography. And this is something that I teach clients. And psychogeography is a term from NLP, and it talks about how there's a relationship. There's a circuitry between you and another person, or you and the people you're in conversation with. And there are some things that you should do. And there's definitely some things you should do when you're going to put something in somebody's hands. It should be really clear. It should be easy for them to see. You've got to use the power of your gaze to direct their attention. There's a lot of things. And I get that that's advanced selling skills. But if you're paying somebody to sell for you, they should understand some of these things. And if you're selling this way to clients, you should understand these things. And if you don't yet understand these things, it is time for you to really double down and invest in learning, because it makes a big difference. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to hold this piece of paper or if she's holding it. I'm not sure exactly where I'm looking, and I'm also not really clear on what it means. Because again, it's their jargon and I'm going like, okay. So, and she just kind of like, blah, 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 like super fast, kind of spits out this, probably the same thing that she says to every single other person. Doesn't ask me like, what questions come to mind for you, for instance, which again, this is I teach this question a lot, and it's one of those questions that I know I've shared before on the podcast. It is a priceless question to ask people. What questions come to mind? Because it gives you some insight into what they're thinking about. So she doesn't ask this. So your salespeople should know this question, and they should be prepared to ask it, because otherwise they have no idea what's going in the mind of the prospective buyer. And it doesn't really give them any clue onto what to focus on and what to say next. Had she done that, I would have said to her, I'm not really sure how this, piece of paper that you're handing me, how this relates to what we just did and what the results were. She didn't even reveal the results. She wrote them she actually wrote it on this laminated card. And it was sitting out in front of me, but she never even talked through the results. And this service that they were offering, super cool, something brand new. I'd never heard of it before. And the results were right there, but she didn't even point them out. So she's leaving it to me to decipher, what do these mean? And doesn't even comment on them, by the way. This was actually before I left the room. So again, really bad selling technique. She should have been able to just see, you can already see some difference here. Here's some change that we're already noticing. This is how, your system is responding to X, Y, and Z. Just something. I think one of the biggest mistakes, I say this a lot, there's a lot of mistakes in sales, but a big one when you're in that live interaction with somebody is to not comment on things. And I think it's because people think they're really obvious, it's super obvious. So why should I have to comment on it? As the seller, that is your job. You should comment. One of my all-time favorite quotes about NLP is, you might have heard me say this before, is not sales. It's a comment on the obvious that isn't obvious until it's commented on. So I'm going to say that one more time. And you can put a lot of context in there. They say this about NLP specifically, but you could put so insert what you offer isn't obvious. Sorry, it's a comment on the obvious. So whatever this is your service. So I could say sales. Sales is a comment. What I teach is a comment on the obvious that isn't obvious until I comment on it, which is something clients feed back to me all the time. I would suspect that your clients feed this back to you too. I love when people have these moments and they're like, you make sales seem so easy, Nikki. And it's light bulbs go off for them when I'm commenting and showing them things about sales, about conversation, the things that seem like once I comment on it, people are like, well, duh, yeah, of course. But somebody has to comment on it. That's my job when I'm teaching sales. It's your job when you're selling whatever your process is. You have to comment on it. All right, so back out into the room. She doesn't ask me if I want to like sit down and review results and talk about next steps. So she has me standing in front of her desk. Now she is standing with me, so that was some saving grace there. But there were all these chairs around and we could have easily just sat down and reviewed. Like she could have taken 5 minutes to do this with me, but she just stood there. So it felt very awkward. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be looking at. And then, so she gives me the piece of paper and she's like, okay, so yeah, if you want to come back, let us know. And I was like, well, do you have packages or like, what are next steps? Okay. So as the seller, that's your job. If people are asking you like, well, do you have packages? What are the next steps? You have missed the mark. You've missed the mark big, big time. They shouldn't have to be asking you these things. That's your job. It leaves people super unsatisfied when they don't know what to do next. And I get like, she was, again, lovely person that the owner had hired to do sales for her. She's lovely. She's kind and sweet, but no training in sales, obvious. It was so obvious and it was awkward. It was so awkward and weird. So just because somebody is kind and sweet doesn't mean they should be selling for you. And if you want somebody kind and sweet, I actually love the idea of hiring for personality and giving skills. But here's where the owner missed a step. She obviously gave this person no skills on selling. So here I am, prospective client, going like, well, so what are next steps? So she pulls out this laminated piece of paper that has some packages on it. She very quickly points to one package and says, well, this is the next step. Doesn't let me like look at it or hold it. So she just shows it to me. Then she flips it over and then she's like, and then after you do that, you could pick any of these ones. These two are memberships. And she's going this fast. And then she puts the thing down and I was like, oh. So I didn't even like, I couldn't read it. She like, it was like she gave me a flashcard really fast and I was supposed to like soak it all in, absorb it. I don't know. Missed such a misstep. So I didn't really understand what the packages were. But the thing is, the one package that she kind of explained, which was like a 6 package service, she showed like the price was listed there. But here's where she really missed it. She didn't invite me to sign up for it. I didn't know, like, am I supposed to pay her or not pay her? It was so unclear to me. And of course now, me being me, I'm a little annoyed, frankly. I'm a little annoyed at how bad of a job this salesperson is doing. And again, not her fault, owner's fault. Totally 100% on the owner. This person is not qualified to be selling these packages. She's obviously had no training on how to do it. So that's the owner's job, to invest in this person. If you think you're going to hire somebody to do sales for you and you think you're going to bring on a team of salespeople, it still requires training. It still requires investing in those people. It requires teaching them. And if you're not going to teach them how to do it, then you need to bring somebody in to teach them how to do it. Because I walked out of there having not purchased any additional services with them. And I went in expecting to walk out of there with having made a purchase. Was never asked for my business. Wasn't clear what the next step is. There was no like follow-up email from them, anything like thank you for coming to have a session with us today. Like there was nothing. So what are your clients experiencing when they're having kind of that first dip their toe in the water, step in with you? And I get this idea of like, you don't want to be pushy. You don't want to be overly aggressive. You don't want to make people feel like they have to buy from you. And you do need to make it clear what the next step is. And, you know, I love asking permission before I go into the next step. If she had said to me, you know, Nikki, are you interested in hearing about what the best next step is for you? I would have been all in, yes. So you don't have to just go into sales mode. You can ask permission, and you should. And your sales team needs to be trained on this. And if they're not trained on this, you have clients or prospective clients really that are walking out the door or clicking off your email or hanging up from that Zoom session or whatever it is, having not earned their business. So I know I'm being really serious about this today. It's just these really bad sales experiences. And I'm sure you've had them. You probably have stories that you're thinking of right now listening to this episode of where somebody like totally missed the mark with you too. And I challenge you to really think about what is your client's experience when they work with you or they work with somebody on your team. There is just no excuse. There's so many training like opportunities out there. I mean, obviously I'm here. Like you could have them listen to the podcast if nothing else, but invest in your people. Make sure they understand how to sell your offers. Don't just hire somebody because they're kind and they're sweet. And maybe they have a really nice welcoming smile when somebody walks in to your place of business. If you have a storefront, or even if it's just like, what's it like to be with them online? It's not enough. It's just not enough to earn somebody's business. So I'm hoping that you got some takeaways from this today. I'm hoping there's some meat in here for you to go like, okay, I know I should change something. Even if it's just a follow-up, like, thank you so much, you know, for doing whatever this first step is. Here's how to get next steps. You know, a follow-up email, something, because these little touches can make or break your business. And I want them to make your business. I want people to be excited to work with you. The idea is for you to continue to elevate, for you to continue to, level up your business, and aspiring to have a sales team. Awesome. I love it. I mean, I love salespeople. So I love that you want to have a sales team if that's something that's really important to you. And let's make sure they're trained. Let's make sure they understand what it's going to take to earn clients' business, and that they understand what your offer is and how to lay it out clearly so that people know what to do next. All right. Thank you so much for being here. As always, thank you for listening. I'm so grateful. It's so fun to hear from you what your big takeaways are from each episode. And once again, please reach out and share. And if you'd be willing to share the podcast with somebody who you know would benefit from listening to it, please do. Please do. I wish you continued success in all you're doing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.